Everybody, Randall Cornett here. Hope you guys had a great day. We came through like the smashing apes that we are, like we got let loose in the city and we just destroyed some shit. We had an amazing day. We reached our all-time high. And I'll be honest with you guys, I wasn't expecting this type of run today. I knew that it was coming soon. I wasn't expecting it today. That being said, I do have the weekly chart up for you guys, and it looks like we are following this trend line that I built quite some time ago. This is the weekly. One thing I wanted to point out to you guys, though, was look at this January date. So this is when we had our original run up in January. And I just want to give you guys some perspective on how much progression we've had over these last 2 weeks. These last two green candles are last week, and this is this week this far. We're looking incredibly strong, and the volume is there. I expect us to potentially run tomorrow. I think that if we can break between that $72 to $75 range, we can definitely see some really heavy, nasty movement headed toward that psychological price of like $100 where the can really open up. Now, moving past the charts, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the dark pool data for today. We did have three significant purchases of dark pool prints, and we'll go over those now. So the first one I'll highlight is this 300,000 dark block purchase. This is an $18 million purchase. The transaction occurred when the stock was $62.55. The second dark pool transaction that happened was 175,000 shares, and that was at $7.2 million, and the price was $41.25. And last but not least, the 127,000 share dark block purchase, that was $4.7 million, and that was purchased when the security was $37.65. Moving past the dark pool data, I do want to highlight some crazy actual block buys, which is not happening on the dark pool, but in a sense, it is a little bit more private. It's basically exchanges will give, institutions the right to make purchases off the exchange with a party, and they can do that, right? It's just one of those, how it works. And so what happens is they make an agreement and they pay it. But the problem is the difference between the dark pool is this data is a little bit more, we as a public retail investors can get our eyes on those transactions a lot faster than we could the dark pool. And the fact that we can see it means that if somebody's just paying attention, you can see that price movement, and people can make plays off that. The dark pool, you're just kind of really flying in the dark. So that being said, here's my point. There was a $2 million or a 2 million share block purchase today, 1.9 million. That value was $100 million. Somebody bought $100 million worth of AMC stock at $51 today. And that to me is incredibly bullish. I personally think that, especially with what happened with Mudrick Capital, Fudrick, and the way that they got screwed, I don't think that these guys want to be that next headline story where they're purchasing, a stock and going to go sell it or short us. I think that they did this to make some money. I think they're going to ride this rocket with us. And that's just my opinion. Now, looking at some of the options chain for today, we are seeing some, I'd say it's a good mix. We're seeing some people that aggressively buying calls or puts, but that is happening just as much as it is calls. If you want to see some of the more bullish activity they see on the call side, there's $253,000 here at June 4th, $70 strike price. We have another $315,000 here on the June 4th, $73 strike price. All of these are very near to being in the money, possibly could see that as early as tomorrow, which brings me to my next point. I think a lot of the price action that we're seeing, definitely a lot of it is FOMO, people jumping in, all the people that are seeing the success that us apes are having. They're trying to kind of make sure that they can coattail on that success, and there's enough room for everybody. So go ahead and jump on in, guys. If you are looking to make a decision, I don't believe that it's too late. I think anything under $100, to be honest with you, I think even a lot of things under even like $500 could still be quite a bargain. And again, that's just my personal opinion. I'm not a financial advisor. Okay, so I said that we're looking at a little bit of a FOMO squeeze, but we are also looking at what I think more is a gamma squeeze. So we have so many calls that are in the money right here. As of right now, there's already 359,000 calls in the money that are expiring June 4th. And there's a possibility of adding another 1,573 to that. And why is that important? Well, there's there's a strategy that market makers use. It's called delta hedging. And that's a lot of times why we can see some of this price action that we've seen this week so far and last week. You heard me talk about it in other videos, but as these market makers sell these options, right, as more and more people become in the money on their contracts, these market makers will do what's called delta hedging, and they will start purchasing shares of AMC stock in order to basically make sure that they have those shares on hand when we apes decide that if we want to exercise our options. So what happens is you exercise your options for however many contracts you have. Let's just say you had one contract, you exercise your option, you get your 100 shares. Here's the thing. A lot of what's going on right now, those 100 shares that you're getting are becoming synthetics, right? And then what happens is the market maker has a certain amount of time to basically make good on those shares, or they become what's known as failed to deliver, which is what we're going to go into those numbers right now. The failure to delivers as of today were 126,000. And you can see this is a running total. You can see on the 11th, there were 3.6 million. There was 2.4 million. So think about these numbers that we were talking about here, these 359,000 contracts. So that's 359,000 contracts times 100. What would that be? So let's just see here. If I wanted to do this quick math, let's do, oops. I'm fumbling around with my keyboard right now. Geez. All right, times 100. So you're looking at 3.5. Oh, no, actually 35,992,000 shares. Okay. So 35 million shares. That's assuming that everybody, was basically going to exercise their options. But that's 35 million shares that they have to account for. So very interesting stuff. And any of those that they don't, assuming let's just say all of those are in the money, all of them are exercised. If they don't deliver, those numbers become failure to delivers, and eventually they are going to be called on these, and they're going to have to pay the piper. But don't let that scare you. You will have, in order, like a lot of times when you exercise the option, if they don't have the shares on hand, you'll be issued a synthetic, which is why this number is so outrageous, right? Why we believe that there's so many synthetic shares going around. This is part of that problem. So, and don't worry, guys, if you have synthetic shares, when all this comes to head, they will still have to buy those from you. It doesn't make it any different than a real stock. You're going to get your tendies. All right. So moving past that, I do want to pull up a little highlight of a video from my boy, BAM investor, Jim Cevaldi. His model's tracking very perfectly. And I wanted to play this clip. I think this is the part of my video currently that you guys are going to like the most, because he gives a price prediction should, we meet his melt up and speed line predictions. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and play this little clip.
If you guys have been following me for 3 weeks, you know that this is the biggest zone of strength. And this is
pausing it in case you can't see if it's too small. He's highlighting June 8th and June 9th.
Is when I've been guessing sort of over the past 3 weeks that this is when we could actually have this event that a lot of you have been talking about. If that's true, then we can see this contact on the speed line at $280 to $295. That doesn't mean we can't overshoot the speed line. We did overshoot the speed line in GameStop when I was tracking that, and the model had predicted that zone of strength when that stock melted up. The model tracked cost KOSS really well.
Okay, so where am I going with this? So his model's tracked almost to the damn T. Okay, it's been spot on the money so far for me since I've been a subscriber. And to be honest with you, you don't even need to be a subscriber. You could just go follow his Twitter. He's giving out a crap ton of free information there. I think that Jim is genuinely an ape. I really do believe that with my heart. But what he's saying, if the model continues to track, or if the stock continues to track his model, which it has been, and it meets these speed line targets, we're looking at June 8th and June 9th at the possibility of $280 to $295 per share. And I'm just going to let that soak in for a second. Like, you guys take a second and just think about that. And if you think that that's just the start of what we're looking for, how are you going to address it? How are you going to compose yourself moving forward past those price targets? Start thinking about what those numbers are going to look like in your account and what your plan of action is going to be. All right, so I hope that gets you guys pretty excited. Now, I thought this was kind of funny. If you look, CNBC which is a pretty big, it's definitely a big news venue, basically capping on Mudrick Capital, right? So Mudrick Capital, that they got out of their position because they did sell some of their, they sold their position after they bought these shares from Adam Air, and they went around, and there's an article that claimed that they said that the stock is overvalued and they dumped their shares. So CNBC basically reported that, hey, had they held on to their shares, they would have stood to gain another $300 million in profit. And I think it's funny, what goes around comes around, mess with the apes and you might have to pay the price. And so that's just something funny that I thought was really interesting. And there's another thing from my friend Bam, and I'm not trying to flood you guys with him, but I just thought this was great. It was getting a lot of traction on Twitter, just to give you guys, they say, know thy enemy. And so I'll read this to you. It says, not sure if you all fully realize how badly they want to crush you. This is an insult to their ego, and their ego is the only thing more precious than their bank account. They want to teach you a lesson. Zero safe spaces on the playground. Be modest and cautious and persistent. All right, guys. So what does that mean for us? That means that these guys do not like us. And I've said this in TMI in our live stream the other day, that they want us, you're telling all your family members, you're trying to get people to buy into the hype, have them join the ape family. And they want us they want to crash this thing so hard down that when we go and we have to face our family members and our friends, that we're like embarrassed to talk about this. They want us to never touch the stock market again. So just know that, let that be the motivation and the chip on your shoulder, just to keep on holding like I am, and have that price, whatever is going to be that life-changing money, have that price in mind so you know what to expect and how you're going to execute your strategy when that time comes. Just remember that this isn't the squeeze, and the best is yet to come. That being said, I think that's it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys could do me a huge favor, and you guys made it this far, please do me a favor, like and subscribe to the channel. It helps so much for me. Leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts. I'd be interested in chatting with you guys tonight. I do have some free time. So with that being said, thanks. Love you long time. Peace.